So today we're diving into knowing your food, which is something that's fundamental if you want to get and stay in your best physical and mental shape. And so if you've ever felt overwhelmed by diets, macros, or just what to eat to manage a healthy weight and boost your health, then this video is for you. Because we're going to break down the basics of food composition, starting with the big players, macronutrients like carbs, protein, and fats. And I'll go into some depth here because understanding them really is key in making smarter choices. I'll also touch on micronutrients too, but not too deep since I covered that in my video, Prevent Deficiency. And the same for water. It's crucial, but check out Drink Water for the full scoop. I'll give a bit more detail on fiber because it's often overlooked, and yes, we'll talk calories, what they are and why obsessing over counting them really isn't the way to go, and how focusing on nutrient-dense foods is better for your metabolism. And so by the end, you'll walk away knowing exactly what macros are, why protein deserves the spotlight, and how to apply this into your daily life, including the rough ratios for a healthy weight loss. So let's get into it. So first off, let's talk about the basics of food composition. You know, food isn't just fuel, it's made up of components that affect everything from your energy levels to your mood and even your long-term health. And so the main categories are macronutrients, which provide calories and energy, and micronutrients, plus other essentials like water and fiber. So starting with macronutrients first, or in other words, macros for short, these are the big three. You've got carbohydrates, protein, and fats. And they make up the bulk of what we eat, and these are measured in grams. And each plays a really unique role, and getting the balance right really can help you to achieve and maintain a healthy weight without feeling deprived or getting overwhelmed with it all. So let's break them down one by one. So starting with carbohydrates first. Okay, so carbs are really your body's go-to source for quick energy. And they come in simple forms like fruit or candy. This is by kids, by the way. And complex forms like starches in potatoes or in whole grains. And when you eat carbs, they're broken down to glucose, which powers your brain, muscles, and daily activities. But the reality is that not all carbs are created equal. Refined carbs, think white bread, sugary cereals or soda, really do spike your blood sugar fast, leading to crashes and potential weight gain if they're overconsumed. On the flip side, complex carbs from veggies and whole grains provide steady energy, fiber and nutrients. And science shows us that lowering refined carbs can improve weight management and insulin sensitivity, especially when personalized to your lifestyle. In terms of daily needs, carbs aren't strictly essential because your body can make glucose from other sources if needed, but they do provide efficient energy, especially for active folks. So aim for quality over quantity. So next we have proteins. Protein. This is where things get exciting and interesting. And because of that, we'll spend a bit more time here because it really is a game changer for health and weight gain. So protein is made up of amino chain acids, which really are the building blocks for muscles, enzymes, hormones, and even your entire immune system. So sources include things like meat, fish, eggs, and plant-based options like tofu. And here's a key fact. Protein is the only macronutrient that is absolutely pragmatically essential for long-term human survival. And I say that because while your body can produce carbs and fats from other sources if needed, it can't make all of the essential amino acids found in protein. In other words, you have to get them from food. So skimp on protein and you risk muscle loss, slower metabolism, and poorer recovery. So higher protein intake really does boost your metabolism and supports sustainable fat loss. It revs up your metabolism rate because digesting protein burns more calories than carbs or fats. Plus, it keeps you full for longer, reducing your overall calorie intake without even trying. And research shows that protein prioritization helps with satiety and muscle preservation during weight loss. And this is especially important for those who are overweight or obese in order to maximize skeletal muscle health and combat metabolic dysfunction, which is all too rampant today. Whilst still somewhat controversial, there is good research to indicate that the optimal amount of protein is around about 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight, which equates to roughly 2.2 grams per kilo of ideal body weight. For example, if your goal weight is 150 pounds, which is about 68 kilograms, then aim for 150 grams of protein spread throughout a day. In metric terms, that's approximately 2.2 grams per kilo of your ideal body weight. So for someone targeting a healthy weight of 68 kilos, you'd still aim for around 150 grams daily to hit that higher threshold for muscle health, satiety, and metabolic benefits. And I know a lot of you may be thinking that is way too high, but one important reason to have a higher protein intake is because people who are often overweight or obese often have anabolic resistance, which is where the muscles don't really respond well to protein or to exercise for that matter. So a higher intake helps to really kickstart muscle protein synthesis, which is simply the metabolic process by which your body incorporates amino acids from protein into new skeletal muscle proteins, essentially building or repairing muscle tissue. Another reason for higher protein uptake is for improving your metabolism. And that's because skeletal muscle is where most glucose disposal and fat burning happens. And so building and maintaining it with high protein ramps up your metabolic rate and insulin sensitivity. Next, high protein diets make you feel fuller for longer, helping you to cut calories naturally whilst protecting lean muscle during weight loss, which is super important. So remember, it's not just about losing weight, it's about losing fat, not muscle. So higher protein ensures that happens. Obviously, it depends upon things like your sex, your weight, activity level, etc. But if I were you, I'd suggest aiming for a minimum of 30 grams of high quality protein per meal to really hit those daily thresholds. Think eggs for breakfast, chicken or lentils for lunch, or, and fish or Greek yogurt for dinner. And last but not least, we have fats. And fats get a really bad rap, but they really are essential for things like hormone production, cell health, and absorbing vitamins. They come in saturated, things like butter, unsaturated with things like avocados, nuts, or olive oil, as well as trans fats, and often found in processed foods, which you really want to avoid. And I can't show you those because I absolutely don't have any in my home. But healthy fats from sources like any of these, really do support, brain health and reduce inflammation. And good fats really should be a staple, not feared, as they provide sustained energy and really do help with weight management by keeping you satisfied. But rather than going into depth with fats here, be sure to check out my video titled Eat Healthy Fats, where I break it down into way more detail if that is something that interests you. So that's the macronutrients, but we also have micronutrients too. And these include vitamins and minerals like vitamin C found in oranges, iron, calcium, and sodium. And they're needed in smaller amounts, but really are crucial for everything from your immune function to bone health. And I won't dive deep into this here, but I recommend that you watch my video called Prevent Nutritional Deficiency for that. But just know that getting them from whole foods beats supplements for most people. And so beyond micronutrients, you also have water, which is vital for hydration, digestion, and temperature regulation. But again, further details are available in a video called Drink Water. But what I will say is just aim for at least 6 glasses a day, more if you're active, and filtered water is best. And the last category of food is fiber, which is different to everything else that I've spoken about, simply because it isn't digested. Soluble fiber, such as oats and apples, and lowers cholesterol and stabilizes blood sugar. Whereas insoluble fiber, like in veggies and whole grains, keeps your gut moving. And getting 25 to 30 grams daily from real food aids weight management by promoting fullness and gut health. Whereas eating a low fiber diet can result in overeating and digestive issues. Next, I just want to talk a little on calories, as this is a really important part of staying in your best shape. And so a calorie is simply a unit of energy, basically how much fuel food provides. And carbs and proteins have 4 calories per gram, whereas fats have 9. But here's the thing, so many of us are fixated on counting calories, when in actual fact, we should be instead focused more on simply consuming nutrient-dense foods for metabolic health, that is. And once again, this is a really controversial subject, especially in the health and fitness space. And so I just want to highlight why I believe counting calories doesn't work over the long term. And the number one reason is because it ignores food quality. 100 calories of broccoli versus 100 calories of candy. Well, broccoli nourishes while candy spikes and crashes. Number 2, it's inaccurate. I say that because labels can be off by 20% and your body absorbs calories differently based on metabolism, gut health, and activity. Number 3, it leads to obsession and burnout. Constantly tracking stresses people out, leading to yo-yo dieting instead of sustainable habits. And number 4, it overlooks hormones. Calorie restriction can slow metabolism, making weight loss harder over time. However, with that said, it's useful to know roughly how many calories are in foods to avoid over-consuming. So use it as a loose guide. Aim for roughly 2,000 to 2,500 daily for most adults, but you've got to adjust that for your age, sex, and activity. But always prioritize whole foods. So how do you apply this information immediately? Well, first, understand your macro needs. For general health and weight management, a balanced ratio might be, say for example, your proteins would be 25 to 35% of your calories, which remember is based upon 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo body weight. For carbs, aim for 45 to 55%, mostly complex, and for fats, aim for 20 to 30% from healthy sources. But like I said, personalize it. If you're active or building muscle, bump up your protein. For weight loss, try higher protein and lower refined carbs, and you'll see any unwanted pounds drop off. If you really want to, you can track your macros and calories roughly for a week by using apps like MyFitnessPal to get a feel, and then shift to intuitive eating with nutrient-dense food choices. Start by adding protein to every meal, 30 grams minimum, and fill half of your plate with veggies. The secret is to really hone in and listen to your body over rigid rules, tweaking things like your macro ratios to lead to real results. And so there you have it. Know your food, prioritize protein, choose quality carbs and fats, and focus on real nutrient-dense eats. You'll feel better, manage your weight sustainably, and boost your mental health and clarity. So how familiar are you now with the composition of food, including macronutrients such as protein, fats, and carbohydrates, as well as calories? Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, And subscribe to learn more about the other essential attributes of staying in your best shape. And until next time, watch what you chew, do what you need to do, and always live true.